Welcome to the map pointing portion of Standard 10. Map pointing in Standard 10 deals with different features of India. This video deals with map pointing on map of India with reference to the latest reduced syllabus of 2020. Map pointing constitutes of 10 marks in your ICSE paper. Question number 1 deals with topo sheet and question number 2 deals with map pointing on the map of India. Map pointing, like I've said before, constitutes of 10 marks which will be awarded to you in these blocks. So according to your recent syllabus, we will be marking the different physical and political aspects on this map of India that will be given to you in your question paper, where to your advantage the rivers are already drawn. You are only required to shade the particular river according to the requirement of the question paper. So let's get started with this video. First and foremost, let's mark the rivers of India. Like I've already said, you are only supposed to shade the rivers in blue and label them correctly. Altogether, there are 24 rivers drawn on your map. However, some of them have not been included in your current syllabus. So, there are two distinct river types. We have the rivers of the north and the rivers of the south. So first let's deal with the rivers of the north. So first we shall deal with Indus and her tributaries. So Indus, like you can see right here, it starts right here in Pakistan. So it starts here in Pakistan and it just goes up all the way. The first river that you can see, that is Indus. It is followed by Jhelum and Satluj. Indus's tributaries constitute of Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas and Satluj. However, Chenab, Ravi and Beas, these are not in your syllabus. So we have Indus, the first one that you can see, followed by Jhelum and Satluj, the last sixth river that you can see right here that crosses the neck of India. That is Satluj. Only these three rivers are there in your syllabus. So we have Indus, Jhelum and Satluj, that is there in your syllabus. Chenab, Ravi and Beas are not there in your syllabus. So next we move to Ganga and her tributaries. So the first river that you can see right here is Yamuna. It is not Ganga, it is Yamuna. This entire region is a little complicated, so I have numbered them as 1, 2, 3 and 4. So number 1, the first river that you can see, number 1 is Yamuna. Number 2, that is just beside Yamuna, is Ganga. Number 2 is Ganga. Like you can see, there are 3 arrows. And this Ganga, from its origin, it extends right up to the border of Bangladesh. So right from its origin to Bangladesh, this entire thing is a long river. This entire thing is Ganga. So there are 3 arrows that are showing this river. So it is actually suggesting that this is one river. So whenever it is asked for your exam, you will mark that as Ganga. Number 3 is Gomti. Like you can see right here, this short river, this is Gomti. And number 4 is Ghagra. After Ghagra, you have 2 rivers, Gandak and Kosi. Gandak and Kosi are not there in your syllabus. So number 1 is Yamuna, Ganga, Gomti and Ghagra. Up to here you have in your syllabus. Number 1 is Yamuna, number 2 Ganga, number 3 Gomti and number 4 Ghagra. Okay. Next you see this long river right here that enters into India and then into Bangladesh. This long river that you can see on top of India, okay, in Tibet, that is Sangpo. Sangpo enters India right here. Okay, this, when it enters India, is known as Brahmaputra. This Brahmaputra, it exits out into Bangladesh and is known as Jamuna. Okay, not Yamuna, it is Jamuna. So we have Sangpo, Brahmaputra and Jamuna. Okay, and we are only supposed to mark Brahmaputra. Next you see this small river right here. This is Damodar. It is a Y-shaped very small river of Jharkhand. It's Y-shaped and it is Damodar. Next we have some of the rivers that join Ganga from the south. Okay, so we have Chambal, Betwa and Son. So the first river that is joining is Chambal. Then we have Betwa, and this Y-shaped river that is joining Ganga from the south is Son. So we have Chambal, Betwa and Son joining Ganga. So these are the tributaries of Ganga. So this was the northern aspect of Indian rivers. We have Indus and its tributaries, Ganga and its tributaries, we have Damodar and Brahmaputra. Next, let's move to the rivers of the south. So on the western coast we have Narmada right here and followed by Tapi. Then next let's move to the eastern coast, wherein you have first river is Mahanadi followed by Godavari, this long river. This small triangle that you see right here is the Godavari delta. Next we have Krishna and its tributary Tungabhadra. Okay, so we have Krishna right here and Tungabhadra, and the last river right down is Kaveri. Okay, so this map deals with the cities, standard meridian and the Tropic of Cancer. So first we'll see cities. So the first one is Srinagar. So Srinagar, like you can see this small river protrusion, it is actually Jhelum. So at the edge you will draw Srinagar, you will represent it with a black dot. Next we have Chandigarh. Chandigarh, you can see this small curve of the river there. Just below the curve you will draw Chandigarh. Next you have Delhi. Now this river is river Yamuna. Delhi is located at the bank of river Yamuna. Next we have Prayagraj or Allahabad. Now Prayagraj is located at the confluence of river Ganga and river Yamuna. So this is Ganga, that is Yamuna, and at the confluence of both these rivers you will draw Prayagraj. Next we have Mumbai. Mumbai is very easy, already a black dot is given, you just have to mark that. Next we have Hyderabad. Now Hyderabad and Bangalore is a little confusing. Keep in mind, Hyderabad, you will refer to Hyderabad with, you will draw it with the reference to Krishna and Godavari. So this Krishna river with reference to that just below Godavari. Bangalore is between Krishna and Kaveri, while Hyderabad is between Godavari and Krishna. Keep this in mind. Now Hyderabad you will draw below Godavari, and Bangalore you see Kaveri river. You see this U cut in Kaveri, just above that you will draw Bangalore. Now these are some tips and tricks as to how to remember where to mark them. Next we have Kochi. You will refer to one of these islands of the Lakshadweep and you can mark Kochi there. Next we have some of the cities on the eastern side of India. First we have Kolkata. For Kolkata you refer to this black spot right there, and just above that you will draw or mark Kolkata. Next we have Vishakhapatnam. Vishakhapatnam is right in the center. It is in between Mahanadi and Godavari river, just at the coast. Okay. Next we have Chennai. For Chennai you see this protrusion, this slight curve. You will mark Chennai right there. Okay, so these were the major cities that you have to mark. Keep these tips and tricks in mind, the reference points. Next we shall see these two, the standard meridian and the Tropic of Cancer. So first we shall see the Tropic of Cancer, or the 23.5° north. Now like I said, some of the reference points that you can remember. So you see this cut in the state of Gujarat, that is your first reference point. Next we have this mouth of Gujarat. Next refer to the Son river. Now this part of the Son river you can mark as another reference point. You can put a dot there. Next refer to where Damodar river touches the Bangladesh border. That is another reference point. So that is the fourth reference point. Next we have Mizoram and Tripura. So these two states you will mark these two. Keep in mind that small cut should be left out. So these two states the Tropic of Cancer will be crossing. So all these points of reference you will draw small dots and just join them. Keep in mind that the Tropic of Cancer is a curve, okay? It is slightly bent. You will always draw Tropic of Cancer as a bent line. It is not a straight line, okay? So it has to be a curve, slightly bent. Make sure you write 23.5° north and the Tropic of Cancer. It is very important. Next, we shall move with standard meridian. The standard meridian is very simple. You've already marked Prayagraj, the confluence of river Ganga and Yamuna. So that is the most important reference point which has to be marked and it should be visible. So the first reference point is the confluence of river Yamuna and Ganga. Second one will be the delta of Godavari. You saw that small little triangle. That triangle is the Godavari delta. Next, we have this border of Sri Lanka. So we have these three reference points. You just put a scale and draw a straight line. Now it's time to deal with the mountain ranges that you will be drawing on the map of India. So first we will start with the northernmost mountain range. So first we start with Karakoram. Karakoram, like you can see, it is drawn just across the state. It is just above the river Indus. Okay, like the river Indus is flowing, in the same manner is Karakoram. Next we move to the Himalayan ranges. We have Greater Himalayas, Lesser Himalayas and Shivaliks, as in Himadri, Himachal and Shivaliks. Now, as reference, you can take the northern and the southern border of Nepal. So the Greater Himalayas are just touching the northern border of Nepal, and it also enters into Bhutan. This the middle portion that you can see that extends right up to the northeastern states is the Lesser Himalayas, and the last one that you can see that touches the southern border of Nepal is the Shivaliks. Okay, keep one thing in mind, that you will not draw these brown lines that represent the mountains. You will not cross a river, or you will not draw the brown line over a river. Keep in mind that the river always cuts valleys through the mountains. So you will represent these brown lines, which are actually continuous ranges, but you will represent them as broken. Okay? Because the rivers, keep in mind, it cuts valleys through the mountains. Next, we move to the other side, the most important mountain of the western India, the Aravalis. Now keep in mind, as reference point, you will mark the mouth of Gujarat, and it is the mountain range. This is an old fold mountain, so it is slightly curved. Okay, it is slightly curved. Next we move to Vindhya. The Vindhyas, you will take these two rivers, Chambal and Betwa, as your reference points, and you will just touching those rivers, you will draw it upwards. Keep in mind that a mountain is always acting as a watershed. So you will have rivers originating from the mountain and flowing towards the main river. So same with Vindhyas. Next we have Satpura. Satpura, you can take these two curves of this river. This river is river Tapi. So just above these two curves, you will mark Satpura. Next, we have the Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. So like I've already said before, the rivers originate from the mountains because the mountain acts as a watershed. So it's very simple. The Western Ghats, you will just mark all the points, okay? All the points from where the river is starting. So all these rivers, as in Godavari, Krishna, Tungabhadra and Kaveri, all of them start from the Western Ghats and flow into the Bay of Bengal. Okay, now this small curve that you can see, there you have to draw the Nilgiri hills. Okay, that shows you the extent of the Western Ghats. Next we move to the Eastern Ghats. So from the Nilgiri hills where you mark, there's a river. This river is Kaveri. Now Kaveri, it creates a valley there, and then we start the Eastern Ghats. Now Eastern Ghats, like I've already explained to you in one of your classes, Eastern Ghats are highly undulated because they are old. So Eastern Ghats are marked as broken. Okay, so we have one range here between Kaveri and Krishna, and the other range between Godavari and Mahanadi. So those are the Eastern Ghats. So these are the mountain ranges of India. So now, since we have already dealt with the mountains, it will become easy for us to know about the other features like plateaus, deserts, plains, the lakes and passes. So in your syllabus, you have only one pass, the Karakoram Pass. So you remember that we had the Karakoram range right across the state. So just above that, on the border, you have the Karakoram Pass. Next we have Mount Godwin Austen, or the K2, that will be touching the Karakoram range. Next, according to your syllabus, you have two lakes. So the first one is Wooler Lake. Now, if you see carefully, you have this curve. Okay. So this curve, just on top of that curve, you will just pinpoint a blue dot. Keep in mind that lakes have to be marked in blue dots. Next, we move to the Thar Desert. You know that the Aravalis are located here. And since the Aravalis run parallel to the southwest monsoon winds, we have the Thar Desert on the west. Next, you see the Damodar River right here, this Y-shaped. Now, just below that, a teardrop-like small plateau. That is the Chota Nagpur Plateau. Next, we have the Chilka Lake. So, Chilka Lake, it's very simple. We already have a black dot there. So, you will just put a blue. And then we have, this is the Western Ghats. We have the Nilgiri Hills and the Eastern Ghats. So, the Deccan Plateau, to mark, you will just join all these mountains together and make a top border. That is the Deccan Plateau. So the Deccan Plateau is bordered by the Western and Eastern Ghats. So now it's time to deal with the plains and gulfs that you will be marking on the map of India. So this is a very simple map where it deals with only the Indo-Gangetic Plain and the coastal plains and certain gulfs and straits that are related to India. So first we shall see the Indo-Gangetic Plain. It's very simple. For the Indo-Gangetic Plain area, you have to cover most of the rivers of Ganga, as in Ganga and her tributaries. So like you can see the border of Bangladesh right here. So you have to cover this all the way up to the southern border of Nepal. Okay, these two you can keep as your reference points, and you can just surround all over all the tributaries of Ganga. Leave this area behind because this is the part of Malwa Plateau which does not involve or is not included in the Indo-Gangetic Plain. So only Ganga and her major tributaries are to be included. This is the Indo-Gangetic Plain. You will color it in green because the plain areas are represented by green color. Next, we'll move to the coastal plain area. So in the coastal plains, first we shall see the western coast. So starting from the Gulf of Kambat, just below the Gulf of Kambat from river Tapi. From there, to take as reference point, you can take the Krishna river's extension. So that is the Konkan coast. From there, right up to river Kaveri, that's right down. Up to there, you can mark the Kannada coast. Okay. And then the coast of that is the Malabar coast up to the southern tip of India. So these are the coasts of the western part of India. On the eastern part, you have all the way from the southern point to river Krishna, delta. Up to there you have the Coromandel coast. Then from that area right up to Sundarbans, please do not include Sundarbans. Up to Sundarbans you have the northern Sarkars. So these are the coastal plains of India. Now we shall see some gulfs. So this area that you can see, the mouth region of Gujarat, is the Gulf of Kutch. Okay. Then we have the Gulf of Kambat in the neck area. That is the Gulf of Kambat. Then next we have in the southern part of India, between India and Sri Lanka. So don't get confused between these two. The northern is the Pak Strait and the southern one is Gulf of Mannar. So that, like you can see, is the Pak Strait. This acts as a demarcation between the Pak Strait and the Gulf of Mannar. The southern one is the Gulf of Mannar. Next, let's deal with the soils of India. So we have black soil, deltaic alluvium, red soil, laterite soil, coastal alluvium and inland alluvium. So inland alluvium, coastal alluvium and deltaic alluvium are all types of alluvial soil. So till the question is not precisely asked, you can mark any of these regions as regions of alluvial soil. However, if the question is precisely asking for areas of deltaic alluvium or coastal alluvium or inland alluvium, you will have to specifically mark those areas. So first we'll start with inland alluvium. So inland alluvium, like you know, is deposited by rivers. So most of the rivers are found in this Indo-Gangetic area. So this Indo-Gangetic plain has the highest amount of inland alluvium. Next we have coastal alluvium. So like the name suggests, it will be at the coast of India. So ranging all the way from the Gujarat coastline to Sundarbans. Sundarbans are not included in the coastal alluvium, so you have to mark only up to Sundarbans. Next, we have deltaic alluvium. Again, like the name suggests, it will include all the delta regions of different rivers. Like we have the Kaveri's delta, we have delta of Krishna, delta of Godavari, and delta of Mahanadi. Then we have another area, the Sundarban area, which is a delta of Ganga and Brahmaputra river. So all these are important deltaic alluvium areas. Next, we have black soil. So, black soil basically, you know that it is formed from the black lava rocks of the Deccan Plateau. So, wherever you marked Deccan Plateau, that area is has the predominance of black soil. So, we have areas of Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, etc. Next, we have red soil. So, red soil, as you know, is found in the northeastern states. Then we have some states in the southern India, like Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, etc. Then in the northeastern part of India, also we have predominance of red soil. Next, we have laterite soil. Basically, laterite soil is found in the or along the summits of the eastern and western Ghats. So, since eastern Ghats are undulated or broken, we have just small patches of laterite soil there. Also, just below Bhutan, you have a small patch of laterite soil. So, these are areas of laterite soil. Now, we'll deal with the monsoon winds that bring rainfall to India. So, there are two. We have the southwest monsoon winds, and then we have the northeast monsoon winds. Okay. So first we'll see the southwest monsoon winds that get bifurcated into the Arabian Sea branch and Bay of Bengal branch, and then we'll deal with the northeast monsoon winds. So like you can see, and you already know that the rainfall in India is basically orographic in nature. So most of the characteristic of the monsoons is or the monsoon winds or its direction and where it stops or up to where it goes is determined by the mountain ranges. Now the Arabian Sea branch you have to draw like parallel arrows hitting the western Ghats. Okay, the western Ghats, and you know that the western Ghats block these monsoon winds, hence it sheds a lot of rainfall and moisture at the western slope of the western Ghats. Okay, and this you will draw as parallel to the Aravalis. If the Aravalis had to be perpendicular to these winds, it would have dropped a lot of moisture and Thar would not have been a desert. However, Aravali runs parallel to the Arabian Sea branch of the southwest monsoon, hence Thar is a desert. And this winds they go right up to Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, rendering very little rainfall because they get exhausted. On the other side, because of the peninsular shape of India, like you know, the other branch of southwest monsoon is the Bay of Bengal branch. Like you know, it runs parallel to Chennai, rendering no rainfall in the Tamil Nadu coast. It goes and hits the three ranges, the Gero, Khasi, Jaintia, and deposits a lot of rainfall in Mawsyn Ram, which is on the windward side. However, Shillong, which is on the leeward side, does not receive that much rainfall, thus making Mawsyn Ram the wettest place on earth. After hitting these mountain ranges, the Bay of Bengal branch turns eastwards. Turns westward. It gets deviated towards the west and drops a lot of rainfall towards or on the Indo-Gangetic plains. The green arrows show the direction of southwest monsoon winds over the Ganga plains. So these go right up to Punjab, Haryana, depositing very little rainfall. Okay, so next we shall see the northeast monsoon winds. So keeping in mind that northeast monsoon winds are not retreating monsoons, okay? Northeast monsoon winds take place basically in December to February when there's a complete shift in the pressures of land and sea. So we have a high pressure on land and low pressure on sea. So the winds, the winter monsoons, they occur from the land towards the sea. So basically, since they are coming from the land area that you can see, right, that entire area is land. Since it is coming from land, it does not have a lot of moisture. So when whatever moisture it can pick up from the Bay of Bengal, it deposits in this Chennai area. Okay, so that is why the Tamil Nadu coast or Chennai receives winter rainfall. Okay, now northeast monsoon winds, they have only one branch. Okay, these are the winter monsoons. That's it. So these do not have much moisture, like I've told you. So the rest of India is not affected by the northeast monsoon winds. Only Chennai receives rainfall by northeast monsoon winds. Now let's deal with the minerals and the density of population. So minerals, we have only 4 points. We have Mumbai High, coal, iron ore and Digboy. So first we will see coal and iron ore. So for coal and iron ore, we can take the Damodar river as reference point. This makes it very easy to remember. So between the Damodar river and its tributary, you will mark coal. So between both the rivers, you will just put a dot, that is coal. One important area is Jharia, and just below that you will mark iron ore. That iron ore center is Singhbhum. Next we have Digboy. Digboy becomes an area of mineral oil deposit in Assam, that is just below Brahmaputra, so that is Digboy. And one, we have an offshore sea near Mumbai. This black dot that you can see is Mumbai. Just a little ahead into the Arabian Sea, you have Mumbai High. So we have Mumbai High, we have iron ore, we have coal, and we have Digboy. So these are the mineral areas. Next we have high density regions and sparsely populated regions. So the orange areas that are colored are showing the sparsely populated areas, while purple areas are showing densely populated areas. So first let's see the sparsely populated areas. We have this area of Karakoram or the Himalayan region. Then we have the Thar Desert. We have some areas of the Peninsular Plateau, and we have some parts of the northeastern states. These are sparsely populated areas where density is not very high. Then we have densely populated in area in the south. We have the Kerala, the state of Kerala. Then in the north we have the state of Bihar, which is a densely populated region of the north. Then we have another high density region, the Delhi National Capital Region, or the Delhi NCR. Okay, so we have Delhi, Bihar and Kerala as the densely populated areas, while we have regions of the Peninsular Plateau, Thar Desert, the Karakoram or the Himalayan areas, and the northeastern extent as the sparsely populated areas. So this was the map pointing portion according to your syllabus of 2020. Keep practicing these maps so that you can remember, and any doubts if you have, you can ask. Till then, take care of yourself and keep practicing these maps, and we'll see you in my next video.